Jackson, do you anticipate teams are starting to move on from this, or is this just the tip of the iceberg for the IndyCar series?
Tim Cindric being there is not anything too controversial. I think it's just everyone was so in that moment just mad at him. I think both Tim and Roger knew that him being there would probably hurt any conversation more than helping it. And I still think Tim's position on this whole penalty is still shaky right now. But I mean, you look at the way that the teams are reacting. It's good that this happened. I don't think we know enough to really, go off of this, especially after the results of this weekend. I'd like to hear some more. I'd like to hear what more the team owners have to say after a 1-2. But I think what we know is that they talked. I really don't think we got too much. I'm really interested to see what Ben has to say here, but it's hard for me to get a read off it.
Well, guys, I'm rereading Indy Split right now, the book by John Orovitz that came out a few years ago. And I got to tell you guys, it is eerie looking back on, whether it's the USAC kart era or the kart IRL era, which I'm just now getting to again in the book here. Just the flashbacks of the team owners meeting with the series and all the different conversations and letters being written, and you can feel something brewing, and it takes a couple of years for the split to actually happen, and then the entire sport is thrown into disarray, and nobody knows what the long-term future looks like in a time where it looked like the series had positive momentum. And this goes back to Alex's point as well that he's been bringing up recently on our shows and talking about how in late 2010s, even the early 2020s, after Penske bought the series, it seemed like there was a lot of positive momentum brewing. You had some ex-F1 drivers, even a seven-time NASCAR champion, Jimmy Johnson, coming to the series. You had a solid TV contract with NBC, and it felt like things were really headed in the right direction. And then the last 2 or 3 years, that just hasn't been the case. I mean, go back 30 years, IndyCar was really booming in the 90s, and then we had some issues with leadership and some conflicts there, and people wanting to go in different directions, people not thinking that the sport was headed in the right direction. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm not saying a split is imminent or anything like that, but it is kind of wild to be reliving those memories and looking at the state of the series right now. Again, we had a great race today, credit where it's due. But after the events of the last week, we certainly need to have more of those going forward. I think we need a new car. We need a new chassis. We've been on this one for over a decade. We need to make sure we don't lose Honda in a couple of years. I mean, those rumors are, still who knows what's going to happen over there. There's a lot that needs to get sorted out. And, we'll see if we have more of these kinds of meetings. But, like I've been saying, I think Roger Penske, all credit where it's due in terms of what he's accomplished as a team owner, as a series owner, and as the owner of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It has not been a great run. And time is ticking to turn that ship around.